10 insane things you didn't know about Pablo Escobar. Hello and welcome to our channel. You might have heard the name Pablo Escobar, the Colombian drug lord, also known as the King of Cocaine. Born on December 1st, 1949 in Rionegro, Colombia, Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria started out as a criminal after dropping out of his university. Interestingly, he was born into a humble family. His father was a farmer and his mother was a school teacher. But fortune led him to be the most wanted criminal of his time. Pablo Escobar is responsible for many fatalities during the course of his drug-dealing career. At least 4,000 civilians, 1,000 law enforcement personnel, elected officials, and journalists were slain under Escobar's drug-related dictatorship, in addition to 200 judges. Let's get to know about some insane things that we never knew about Pablo Escobar.
Yo soy Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
Number 1. World's 7th richest man. According to Forbes magazine, he was the 7th richest person in the world in 1989. At the time of Pablo Escobar, his net worth was over $30 billion, which equates to almost $70 billion in today's money. He began drug smuggling when he was quite young and used it as his main source of income. Though he was a notorious person, he is considered one of history's most prosperous men. Number 2. The 7,000-acre estate. Although Escobar possessed several lavish homes, his most well-known mansion was the 7,000-acre estate known as Hacienda Naples, which was located halfway between Bogotá and Medellín, and was named after Naples, Italy. It reportedly cost $63 million and included a zoo, bullring, airstrip, tennis court, dinosaur statues, man-made lakes, and the burned-out remains of a rival cartel's vintage automobile collection. Later, residents stole the estate, which is today a popular tourist attraction. The plane he used on his initial cocaine run to the U.S. is perched over the estate's main gate. Number 3. A silly thief to world-famous drug lord. Pablo Escobar began committing crimes when he was a youngster. He started out by smuggling radio equipment, selling false diplomas, and stealing gravestones to sell. Escobar was also a car thief, and it was for this crime that he was taken into custody for the first time in 1974. However, he had already joined the fast-growing drug industry of Colombia by that time and contributed to the establishment of the Medellín cartel in the middle of the 1970s. Within a few years, Pablo Escobar became the king of drugs. Number 4. Burnt money for his daughter. He and his family had to move around a lot because he was the most infamous crook of his day. He reportedly used to blindfold his family members so they wouldn't find out about their hiding places, while the family was taking refuge on top of a mountain near Medellín in the early 1990s. Pablo Escobar's daughter, Manuela Escobar, once experienced hypothermia. To keep his family warm during the cold nights, Pablo Escobar decided to burn $2 million in cash. Number 5. Hide his wealth in unknown places. Throughout his life, Pablo Escobar amassed so much fortune that he was unsure of how to spend it. He was unable to fully enjoy his money or leave it to his family. He then made the decision to hide his money throughout Colombia. He also kept his money in farms and warehouses. He dispersed a sizable portion of his alleged $50 billion riches throughout Colombia. Most of this money was lost and was never found. However, his brother claimed that 10%, or $2.1 billion, was actually destroyed by the elements or eaten by rats. Some cash was just lost. Number 6. Pablo Escobar, the Robin Hood. Even though Pablo Escobar was notorious for his illegal endeavors, including drug smuggling, murder, and terrorism, many Colombians still admired him. He invested millions in the Colombian people, which made him the Robin Hood of Colombia. He made donations to the Colombian people and contributed to the construction of hospitals, sporting venues, educational institutions, and housing projects for the underprivileged. He probably used to consider himself to be one of the locals who had a difficult upbringing. That's why he loved his people, and they loved him back too. Number 7. The Jungle King. Escobar had a soft spot for animals too. Once he decided to build a zoo for himself as he couldn't find anywhere to spend his huge money. Around 200 species, including elephants, hippos, ostriches, zebras, camels, and giraffes, were brought to Escobar's private zoo home. Many of the wild species were brought into the nation illegally on Escobar's cocaine aircraft. The majority of the creatures were moved to zoos after his death in 1993. However, 4 hippos were left behind, and they became 40 in number by 2016. Number 8. Political involvement. There was a lot of support for Pablo Escobar among his people. It helped him get to the Colombian congressional elections. His election to the Colombian House in 1982 served as a sign of his enormous popularity. But after 2 years, his crime was uncovered, and he was compelled to quit. Unfortunately, he killed the person who gave him the order to retire. Additionally, he made a deal to pay off his country's $10 billion debt in the late 1980s in exchange for being spared from any extradition. Number 9. Living in his self-made prison. In 1991, Pablo Escobar turned himself into the authorities after signing a no-extradition pact with the previous president of Colombia, Cesar Gaviria. This is in addition to the agreement that Escobar will be kept in the La Catedral prison, which he built himself. The visitors Pablo Escobar would interact with inside La Catedral were also up for selection. With the help of his connections outside, Pablo recruited some of his most devoted guards and carried on his illegal operations inside the self-built prison. La Catedral, or Escobar's self-built prison, was constructed to Pablo's specifications and boasts a view of Medellin. Although he may have turned himself in, this self-built prison was more like a resort with all the amenities, including a football field, bar, jacuzzi, sauna, waterfall, and a huge dollhouse. Many believed Pablo engineered his detention as a buffer against his other cartel adversaries, guarding him against assassination attempts. Escobar was transferred to a less hospitable prison after he tortured and killed 2 cartel members at La Catedral, though. Number 10. How he died is still a mystery. On December 2, 1993, Escobar allegedly enjoyed cake, wine, and marijuana as he celebrated his 44th birthday. His hideout in his hometown of Medellin, Colombia, was found the following day. Escobar and a bodyguard made it to the roof as Colombian forces attacked the building. Pablo Escobar, arguably the wealthiest drug lord the world has ever known, made an attempt to escape by scrambling across a nearby rooftop. Instead, he was shot to death, leaving behind the iconic image of the world's most powerful drug lord's bleeding body sprawled across a tile roof in the city that was once his safest haven. Well, the identity of the person who fired the last shot to Pablo Escobar's ear is unknown. Pablo's family even believes that he committed suicide because Escobar frequently declared that if he had no chance to go, he would shoot himself in the ear. Undoubtedly, it is one of the most enigmatic Pablo Escobar facts that we may never fully understand. Interestingly, more than 25,000 people showed up for his funeral, and some of them even prayed to him for blessings because they regarded him as a saint. So what is the craziest fact you find about Pablo Escobar? Don't forget to let us know below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching the video.